Okay, so welcome to another episode of our Local Time Machine Thursday. And today I have the pleasure to talk to Steven Verstopt. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. You are with Ghent University, and you are with us to introduce a portal that is called DATA-KBR-BE NewspAIper, which sounds a little bit like a Star Wars character, but it's not. So Steven, maybe you can tell us what's behind that interesting sounding name, and also let us know how you are connected to this project.
Okay, thanks for introducing me. So I'm Steven, I'm from ID Lab, the Internet and Data Science Lab at Ghent University. And the DATA-KBR-BE NewspAIper demonstrator is a result of the DATA-KBR-BE project, which is a project we do in collaboration with the National Library of Belgium, which is called KBR, the Koninklijke Belgium Library. Within the project, we investigate if we could improve the searchability of their archive. So they have a very rich archive with a lot of news articles. But the problem is that the searchability of these news articles is still rather limited. And the main reason is that the metadata of the newspaper pages is only metadata at the highest level. So you have the text that is recognized on the OCR versions of the newspapers, but it is not metadata at the article level. So that really limits the searchability of the archive.
Mm-hmm. So then what would you say, how do you want to enhance this searchability with your project?
Well, there are several things we want to investigate. First thing is of course the article segmentation, and because it all starts with being able to segment the page into articles, so that if you search for a particular event in a particular city, that you, for example, get the articles of that event in that particular city, and not the pages where you have one article about an event and another article about the city, and the system would think that would be a hit for you, but in fact you will be disappointed because it's not what you really are looking for. So article segmentation is the first thing we want to focus on. And once you have the articles, then you can do several things. You can focus on the text or on the titles of the articles and try to find similar articles, so you can cluster them together or group them together to give people the broader picture. If you have a particular event that occurred multiple days, for example, in the newspaper, you can start to link them to each other. So, for example, in one of the use cases we focus on are feuilletons. So if we were able to detect the feuilletons in the newspaper, we can give the people the entire story. Another thing you could start to focus on are the images. Sometimes that there are, for example, buildings that you can see on the images, and it can be very useful, for example, to do some research on how the buildings changed over time, for example, or on how the photography itself changed over time. So so both on the text and both on the pictures that we can find in the articles, we do research and try to find new ways of opening the data to researchers and to the broader public.
Maybe that would be a good time to switch to a live demo, so you can show us a little bit what you just explained. Maybe you have a good example which demonstrates the capabilities of your platform.
Okay, so I'll now share my screen. So now I already have opened an article. So our article segmentation already does a good job, but I also must be honest that further research will still be needed in order to do a decent segmentation for all types of newspapers that of course exist, because sometimes the design of the newspaper changes. So that all has impact on the way how we do the segmentation. But if you have a decent segmentation, then both the title and the images, for example, have become clickable. So if you click then on one of the titles, what we then do is we suggest the most similar articles that we have found in the data set. So this is an article about a crash of an airplane, and then you will also find similar articles that you can then start to explore. In the same way, you can focus on the images, and you can also find related images. So we use computer vision techniques on those images in order to know exactly what is depicted in it, and that allows us to cluster them together or to link them to each other. So for all the newspapers that we have, we provide this kind of article segmentation. So yeah, the demonstrator is still in Dutch, but you can explore the collection, for example. And if you start to explore the collection, you will get a list of pages that have been already processed by us. So the dataset now mainly focuses on Le Peuple, for example. I will look for another example to demonstrate something. Yeah, for example, here. So once you click on the newspaper, it will open the segmentation results. So still some work in order to further improve the segmentation, but it already gives an idea on what we are working. And if I, for example, here click on this more cartoon-like image, then you will see that this also will provide you similar cartoons that can be found. But if you click on the title, you can then, for example, find the similar articles. We also do named entity recognition and person detection in the text. So once famous people's names are found in the text, we also link it, for example, to Wikipedia and Wikidata. So that also allows you to further explore who these people were, or to find out what other things they have done in their life. But it can also be very useful metadata for your filters to search in your articles. Because, for example, if you want to search for a French politician in a particular period in time, then it's very important for us that we can link all the names of those politicians that have been detected to the fact that they were a politician, so that the search engine becomes smart enough to use these kind of links or this kind of information to improve the searchability of the archive. So I think this is in a nutshell already a bit what we can show and what we are working on. The project is not finished yet, so we still have some time to further improve the work. And then specifically the segmentation will be the most difficult part, which will require the most part of our time in the next months to focus on. Okay, and so can you share a little bit about how the technical end of the project is being carried out? What kind of other professionals do you cooperate with to set up these functionalities? Okay, so for the more computer vision and IT related stuff, it's mainly our lab that does the work on article segmentation and so on. But for the research questions itself, we collaborate, for example, with Ghent CDH, which is another research group at Ghent University. It's the Ghent Center for Digital Humanities. So yeah, they help us in defining good research questions on top of all the data that we generate. So they really try to think of what information could be useful for researchers in their domain, and then we try to make a translation between the data that comes out of our algorithms and how it needs to be presented to those more humanities oriented researchers, so that we can facilitate their work. And then, of course, the people from the KBR itself, from the Royal Library, they of course also assist us in making everything operational on their platform and their systems.
And do you collect feedback from users, and do you try to incorporate it, or is there some sort of connection?
Well, what we are now also building is more kind of validation platform, so that we can also take into account indeed the feedback of the end users. And for some parts, it could also be interesting to go more into the direction of what we call active learning, and so that we, for example, have an object recognition model that in the beginning will not work that good, but based on the labeling or the feedback or the validation that the end users do, that we will be able to retrain the model and update it, so that over time it will be able to function completely automatic. So some parts of the work now are more semi-automatic tools that require this kind of crowdsourced feedback or input from the different types of end users.
Okay, and you said the project is still in progress. What's the timeline? What are your next steps?
Well, for us, for our research group, it's first of all improving the article segmentation, and then focusing on two specific collections. So one is the feuilletons collection I already mentioned. So in order to be able to generate for different types of new papers and for different types of feuilletons an overview of all the crops where we think that the feuilletons appear in the newspapers, and then the humanities researchers will do some more in-depth analysis of what is written in those feuilletons. Another one is more related to actions or strikes in Belgium, and also try to create a data set of all articles that we can find in newspaper that are related to that. So that will be our main tasks in the next months within the KBR project. Okay,
that sounds very promising. Yeah, I think that was a brilliant, quick introduction of your project. I wonder, is there anything else that you would like to share, or do you think we could wrap it up at this point?
Well, I can definitely share the link to our so I will provide it to you, and you can also share it with your network. And of course, if someone has feedback, comments, or suggestions, we are definitely open to discuss them and to take them into account. And we are definitely happy that we can share this with your audience.
Sounds good. Yes. We'll make sure to share it with our community and invite them to give you feedback if they have any. Let them know how to get in touch with you. Of course, we'll share the link so that one can try it out themselves. Yes, so thank you very much for taking the time, for running us through, answering our questions on your project, and we'll be very happy to also inform our community on the progress. As you said, it's you're still working on it, and you have very concrete steps that you're working towards too. Yeah, so I think let's wrap up at this point, and thanks once again, and bye-bye.
Okay, bye, thanks.